Hello guys, it's March 2, 2021. This is Nikki, you also known as Faces Trader, and you're watching the Awesome10X Global Market Update. Let's begin. It's a Tuesday, March 2, 2021. So the US markets actually went up higher, bounced. Actually, we expected already last Friday that the markets would bounce. And all of the crypto chains actually also bounced. Let's take a look at some names like that. You could see that Huobi actually rose from 18 all the way to 22, but it's still choppy. Let's take a look at your BTC USD. Your Bitcoin dollar actually rallied from as low as about 44,000 here, or 43,000, rallied to 50,000, but it actually stopped at 50K, or about 50,350. It could rally back to about 54,000. However, we do see a choppy trading range. Perhaps a 5 to 8% move further is going to tempt more people to sell a lower high rather than keep on buying it up. So in my view, the market likes BTCs, but they probably want to get it as low as about 39,000 or even at 44,000. So there will be some people who will still be waiting here about 32,000. But I think that this occurrence is probably in low probability, but these are actually high probability areas. Maybe the 39 to 42,000 is possible. So you'll see that it's the same thing happening with Ethereum. You've got a resistance here about 1.8 and 2,000. And so although this rallied from about 1.3 all the way to 1.6, you do see any rallies back to 1.8 to still be actually met with some selling pressure. Some crypto companies that we are that Awesome10X has is, of course, TSNP, aka Humble. We mentioned that we like it about 2 weeks ago. We have been buying here at about 350 to 360. So far, it has rallied to about 650, or nearing 80% for us. Some of us actually sold as early as about 480 to 5 here, and then another sell last night at about $6. If it rallies back to about $7.40, I do think that there will still be a seller back here. So I do expect that these resistances here would actually be still resistances next week or next month. So I do see a huge range. This is 3 to 7. So I expect a lot of volatility in the markets, even with blockchains, despite the fact that they are actually doing a lot of good news. Example, for Humble Pay, they did acquire Carry. Let's take a look at some extra blockchains. What's happening with Canaan? Canaan was very strong last night, about 30% up actually. 47% up. Take note that this started at $14 last Friday, and yes, last night, yes, you heard me right, it's 22. So in fact, last Friday was the bottom. A lot of us actually bought some shares, whether it be people buying crypto like BTCs or BNBs last Friday. And then, of course, they're actually selling last night, which was Monday in the Philippine time. So you can see that there are these sellers, although the high was 26. A lot of people sold even as high as 22 lower highs, but they would even sell it even if it goes up. Meaning, these are crypto-related plays that are, in my view, getting a huge volatility. What does that mean for your e-bond? Your e-bond is likely going to have a selling pressure here at 9. Yesterday, from about 7, rallied to 8, could go to high 9, but it will probably get some seller's pressure there. With Bitfarms, to take a look at that, Bitfarms rallied from about, from 9, it fell down to about $5 here, rallied to about 655 or 30% up last night from the lows. But I'd say that back to 7, you'll get some selling pressure. So you see these ranges, we're talking about 40% ranges in less than a week's time. Sometimes it's just 1 day, 2 days. So you can see that this volatility is something the traders love. And Awesome10X actually knows how to trade these crypto names. So, of course, if your cost is really low at 2, even if your cost is 2, you might still want to sell at 7 all the way to 9, and you want to trim on the way up rather than to sell it all the way down. You don't want to sell it all the way down because you actually believe in blockchains and BTCs. So you want to actually be buying on the crashes if it ever happens. That's why there are these arrows in preparation for any potential crash in Bitfarms in case it goes down from $5 all the way to $3.60. Hut is also a great company, Hut Mining. Hut Mining, these are companies with actually a lot of BTCs. Hash rates are high. So here in Hut, actually, it's very strong with about 3,000 more BTCs. And they were holding it since $7,500 cost price. So I'd say that these will continue to go higher. That's why you could see that the trend is still your friend. However, there will be these drops. This 16 area and 14 areas will still be a sell-off area, the people who bought in at 9 and all the way below that are actually going to sell 13, 12, 14 all the way up. So just be reminded that in my view, for the next March all the way to May and June, you'll probably see these next 3 months, in my view, just a choppy movement, because most likely your crypto related companies would get a lot of buyers. You'll get a higher low. So I don't foresee BTCs breaking, say, 25,000 anytime soon. However, I do think that it's very hard for it to just break the all-time highs, to go all-time highs with a lot of choppiness in the next 3 months. So at least for these big names, I think that's going to consolidate first. You see last night that C Limited is rising last night here about 248. There will be a lot of sellers, however, here at about 270 to 280. C Limited is going to report their numbers tonight. NEO actually reported, had a bad number. I think after hours, NEO is already trading at 48, however, or 47. But I think that it's very clear that NEO here has a huge resistance. First resistance is still residing at 56, and then some resistances trading at about 51 or 50. So it's going to be a choppy movement. Even if NEO goes down to about 44 or 40 or below 45, I'd say that people will actually nibble and buy back up about 45 all the way to 35. So an average of about $40. You could see a strong support there. I saw a lot of movement last night. Your ABML, American Battery Metal. So this is an OTC name that we actually like. It's a battery recycling company. And I think that all the all the battery chargers will actually end up getting in some recycling, because we would not have enough lithium for all the electric vehicles that will need the storage battery. And for the batteries, I'd say that with the electric vehicle demand boom, there will be a demand boom as well for batteries. I'd say that these areas here, about $2.50, has already been nibbled. Take note that in the last Friday, it's already a higher low from about 230 all the way to 250. And last night, this rose from 250 all the way to 280. Although the trend will still be your friend, it's an on the way up in my view. Still note that there will be some resistances on the way up, especially here at about 350 all the way to about 480. So it's an uptrend, but really there will be some danger moves on the way up. Let's take a look at your Nasdaq 100 just for understanding. Your Nasdaq futures is likely going to get a lot of trading action for the next couple of days and weeks. So I do think that your resistance here is at about 14,000. You rallied from as low as 12,750 back to about 13,300. Some people would sell partially, like last night. I'd say some people already sold. And even tonight, if the market goes higher, you'd see a lot of selling pressure again, whether it be 13.5 or 13.7. Those selling pressure are just people who are taking profits, putting in some cash with an attention span of probably buying it back as much as about, if they get the jackpot is actually as low as about 12,000 area or about 11.7. That's where we want to enter into. So it's actually more of a caution play to actually be profit taking right now, even if the market can go higher further on. So we are seeing a lot of broken charts, just saying that the bears are not really gone. But neither are the bulls gone either. So it's really a chop market. I'd say that you've got a buyer and a seller market today. S&P 500 futures, let's take a look at that. Continuous contracts. Okay, no worries. Okay, it's not a nice chart, but let me find others. Your S&P is your SPY. So this is the Spider ETF, but I'd like to see the index instead. So more of the index, the S&P 500. Okay, so we'll go to the index here. So we're seeing an extension, right? So we've extended from 3.4 all the way to 3.9, or something in the realm of more than 15% higher. So we do have leeway to really chop that extension moves. I think that we still are not we're not going to hit all-time high zones. I do think that a retrace back to about 3.5 or 3.6 is possible. And so take a look at next few days. Any rallies might actually be contained. A few things to also discuss. Zoom Video actually had a great earnings last night. Let's take a look at Zoom Video earnings. So Zoom Video was at after hours up 10%. Revenue total was 880 million, up 369% year over year. Income from operations and operating margin was $256 million compared to income from operations just $10 million in the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2020. So the company expects strong guidance as well. So let's read all of the things happening in Zoom. Analysts and Zoom's biggest obstacles post-pandemic. Shares are rising 11% extended after hours after the company reported expectations beating. So Zoom Video is actually one of those companies that people expect to actually beat Zoom, Mercado Libre, Lemonade, and Zoom actually managed to do that. NIO, I think, was likely to really disappoint as well because most of the electric vehicles are, of course, not yet making money. But I think NIO has another pasabog. They've got a merger news announcement. So likely that the long-term buyers of NIO will actually use any crashes in the stock price to actually be buying rather than selling. Let's read about Zoom. Okay, earnings is about $1.22 per share. This is significantly higher versus 80 cents per share as expected by analysts. Revenue grew very strongly as people began to use Zoom more heavily as the COVID-19 virus emerged in China, leading to World Health calling the virus a pandemic in March 2020. Zoom expanded gross margins to 69.7%. Company lost fewer customers than people have expected. Churn rates remain higher than they were before pandemic. Zoom expects churn higher rates to persist as people are going to start to travel more. Company is expecting gains among small customers. Zoom said it had 467,100 customers with more than 10 employees at the end of the fiscal fourth quarter. This is up 4.7x on an annualized basis. The company ended the quarter with $4.24 billion in cash equivalents, and marketable securities from just $2 billion in the previous quarter, $1.87 billion. In other words, Zoom is cash. We just haven't quite found the right match yet. We're looking to buy up some companies, but they still don't know which company they'll buy with that cash hoard. They've accumulated more than 1 million seats paying for Zoom Phone, a service allowing people to virtually make and receive phone calls, route calls, and accept voicemails. Expect on the guidance to be about $900 to $905 million in revenue, implying 175% revenue growth, expecting earnings of about 72 cents on 830 million in revenue. Very strong revenues, and I'd say that people would actually still continue to keep their Zoom shares despite the pricey expensiveness. For 409, if it's 11% up, that means that it's gonna open later on at 450, 460. We do have a little bit sell rating at about 470 above. So although we like Zoom Video, that's why we've been harping to buy it about 350 to 360. We actually managed to buy here about 350 to 360. However, 450 to 470, I'd say it's okay to sell, but I think some people would just like to hold on to their shares all the way up. Okay, on the earnings front, let's take a look at Zoom. And so Zoom is finished. NIO earnings. Let's take a look at the NIO earnings report last night. NIO earnings were okay. The stock will keep swerving. 5 things you must know on Monday is the market pulling back over. NIO is tumbling. Zoom is soaring. Let's read on Zoom. Let's read on NIO. So what exactly with their earnings report did people not like? NIO missed 4Q estimates on the bottom line, but it actually had higher top line forecasts. After Chinese electric vehicle rival Li Auto reported surprise profit last week. So Monday, NIO, known as the Tesla of China, narrowed its net loss from about 39 cents to just 7 cents loss. Revenue soared 148 cents, 48%. Revenue per share is still losing. Its new sporty and youth-oriented EC6 luxury electrical crossover outsold 2 of their older electric SUVs, which is the ES8 and ES6. Sales momentum slowed a bit to about 5,600 vehicles in February, from about just 7,225 vehicles in January, although these are still triple digits up year over year. So the EC6 competes against the slightly cheaper made-in-China Tesla Model Y, which began deliveries in January. 2 versions of the much cheaper Volkswagen are actually due to begin deliveries by end of March. Cash balance is actually $6.5 billion for NIO. So that means that NIO can actually produce as many cars as it wants. Deliveries will be about 20 to 25,000 vehicles. That would be up 421% from a year ago. Revenues would be $1 billion, up about 438% to 451% from a year ago, 11 to 14% from Q4. Guys, with those types of numbers, revenues like that, some people would assume that NEO trading at about $40 or $45 would be a compelling buy, even if it will fall nearly 5% or 10% after market hours. So relative strength will be a problem on NEO. However, because there's really a lot of resistances at about 55 above, but there will be some people willing to trade their range on your Chinese vehicles. Take note that XPeng will report their earnings next week, March 8th. So chances are most of the Chinese companies in the vehicles route would do the same. Probably some people are already expecting that XPeng will also have not as good of an earnings play. That's why it's already falling way before the numbers are releasing. That said, I'd say that XPeng at about $30 to $34 looks to be a compelling oversold area. You can actually buy $30 if it ever falls after earnings. I do think you can sell it at about $45 or $40. So hi Nikki, thoughts on AI? Hello, whatever make you happy. This is Robinson. Hello. AI, yeah. So let's discuss some things about AI. Looks like there is a resistance very clearly here at about 165, but you could see some buyers here at 115 and 90. I'd say that AI was similar to your Pubmatic and your Airbnbs. They got released almost at the same quarter around December. So you still see people buying and selling. So I think like all these names are expensive, but AI might be a suitable competition for the people who are also bullish on Palantir. So I'd say that it's really a toss-up between buying Palantir or AI, and both types of investors might actually like both. So I'd say that both are okay. In fact, Palantir here at about $24 looks to be a compelling buying arena, even if you've got resistance at $30. Speaking of which, yeah, forgot to mention, SOS blockchain got shorted. There was supposed to be a fraud. It fell down 75% upon that news, but the company CEOs fought back. So from about $4.60, it actually rose 50% higher to about $7. And I think it's closing at $7.50. Actually, it just dropped straight at the 70% line, which is typical to all the companies that get shorted. Usually a short usually sees it down 70%. Let me tell you a few things happening. EHang actually fell 70% as well from its peak. Take note that it rallied to as high as 130, only to fall down back to 41. Couple of days ago, the company actually discussed that they were fighting back Wolfpack in that short report, and that actually triggered a buying spree from about 45 all the way to $80, only to retest back at about 45 to 50. I'd say that the owner, EHang, will actually continue to fight back all the short reports. And in my view, because I see that EHang does legitimately have those unmanned eVTOLs, so actually you could see that EHang has been sharing so many news about the future of air mobility. Post cliff dive, EHang is now much more favorable. A lot of people are actually looking to buy EHang on this 70% nosedive. And EHang was supporting a lot of Chinese National Transportation Network plan. Speaking of China, I'd like to explain as well that WIMI, I think WIMI was also targeted as a short by some people. And we, however, believe that WIMI is actually legitimate. So actually this drop from about $13 all the way to $8 was actually more of a buying arena. Rallied last night to $10. Although there will still be volatility in these names, perhaps 1150 is what people would sell into. However, you could see that this 8 to 12 really manic depressive movement of WIMI Cloud will be a function of the bears attacking it and the bulls really believing that WIMI is just doing all it can to actually just introduce their hologram business to a wider application. In fact, last night, WIMI said that Chinese education is looking to work with them. Just a week ago, WIMI won the bid for China Mobile. So it is really an AR, an augmented reality and virtual reality play, announcing a release of EV holographic AR applications, Holographic technology is activating new gameplay. So we think that some people are bearish, but actually it's just gonna give you a lot of trading action on WIMI. Just last night, WIMI announced that it cooperated with China's education television in holographic education, serving 100 million teachers and students in rural areas. WIMI, which is the leading hologram augmented reality technology provider in China, announced a strategic cooperation with the Dream Classroom program of China Education Television. With the Republic of China, China Education Television hosts more than a dozen satellite educational projects, including the 4 major projects for national remote education. So they're gonna use TV to actually teach people with holograms. Perhaps they're gonna teach science without you going into a science experimental test lab. So in addition, 100 million school teachers and students from rural areas to the primary and secondary school levels will be served with these satellite stations. So film culture is going to produce this under the guidance of the Ministry of Education. They're going to teach English, Chinese, arts, performing arts, dance, and other areas. More than 60 world-renowned teachers from even 5 countries as far back as China, US, Russia, South Korea, and Austria are invited to join. And this is going to be the 5G AI holographic education online classroom program of China. They want to create this holographic classroom integrating cutting-edge technology. Who is WIMI? For those who aren't aware, WIMI is really using the commercial operations beginning in 2015. They're a holographic cloud comprehensive technical solution provider focusing on using holographic AR, automotive HUD software, 3D holographic pulse LiDAR for so many applications. That would be just one application. Actually, last night, a lot of our favorite winners bounced really hard. Your VUSI actually rallied to as high as $24 last night. So some of us actually sold at 18, 19. Last night, even at 23, 24, people still sold. Could be wrong, given that I'm trying to predict that we are peaking here at about 24. It can actually go all-time highs for VUSI. Now, VUSI and Copen continue to be very strong. These are our wearable kings and queens. And unlike VUSI that's trying to nearly hit all-time high, Copen is actually went up to $10, not really at $12 or $13. So it's possible that actually Copen could even rally to $12. But I'll be more on the cautious side that any rallies back to about $13 will still be having a sell-off. And then, of course, congrats to those who tried to pick up the crash, because those that you picked up, you could actually sell it higher, maybe 11 or 12. Last night is already 10, could even go higher. So I do see a choppiness in the market so far. How about Research Frontiers and Bombardier? Research Frontiers looks to be a trading range at about 4 to 5. So you have this resistance at about $5, but you do have these supports at about $4. Wait it out. If you haven't sold, I think you would sell about 460 to 480, nearing $5. You could sell here at about $5. Yeah, so I think that it is a higher low move. I don't see it going down to 350, or even if it does, you'll get a lot of buyers there. You also asked Bombardier. So Bombardier, what exactly? There's a lot of Bombardier, the A or the Bs. Okay, so I'll assume that you're talking about the Bombardier A, BBDR. So I'll just type it in. Bombardier is actually in Canada. So you've got the OTCs. Let's try to talk about the Canadian Toronto Stock Exchange format. So Bombardier here hasn't really rallied. This is really going to be just a value turnaround play. So when it's just sleeping here, you do nothing. It's still not trending. You just wait it out. What do I mean with value play? Example, usually with value plays, it does take time, sometimes years. Take note that for a long time, GE was considered by some as a value play. From about 6 all the way to 12 to 13, these are actually 2 years in the making, 2019, 2020, 2021. Perhaps in 2021, these can actually break above that $14 imminently. So I'm taking a look. Actually, I think that this is in the way up. It's going to go up, up, up. So actually, any downside back to about 12 or 11 might actually be an opportunity for those who don't have this. For those who want to have a buy and value play, you might actually want to buy into some GE. And yeah, so I think like value plays like Bombardier and GE are the same. Actually, value plays like General Motors are also valid to me if it drops back to about 47. these value plays are going to be interesting opportunities. So yeah, I think there are more opportunities in the market, opportunities both on the upside and also on the downside. Just be careful on chasing companies if you're not aware of their resistances. Fintech are getting very popular. They own Peak Fintech. It's listed in OTC PKKFF. Actually, I'm not aware of Peak Fintech. I only have, so I've discussed about TSNP, yes, Humble Pay. I know about the usuals like StoneCo. So it's still an uptrend, right? But I guess the market might actually take some profits off. You said about, what's the name? PKKFF. All right. So let's take a look at that. PKKFF. No, I haven't studied Peak Fintech. So very strong movement, 40 cents to $2.40, 6x move. We'll take a look at this name. Let me make a quick search. Peak Fintech. What is this? Is this a blockchain? Or is it a cryptocurrency exchange? What does it do? So Peak Rock Capital with Fintech platform Netfin. Is this it? What's the name? Peak Fintech Group. Peak Fintech Group. Is this it? All right. So Chinese New Year, February 16, they discussed this. Peak Fintech is an innovative fintech providing to Chinese commercial lending sector. Okay, so it's going to be almost like a competition as well for your JFU, your QD, your Chitian. So it says here that they have a distributor and retailer financing program, exclusive distribution rights at PetroChina's convenience stores, and Xiamen, Guangxi, whose clients include JD and 7-Eleven. Okay, when it comes to fintech, I will be a little bit cautious because although this is a parent company of innovative using AI, yeah, I am of the view that a lot of Chinese fintech companies are actually getting scrutinized by China. So in fact, I see value in them. I talk about JFU and Chitian. Actually, we have a buy on JFU here about $2 area, and it's right now still here about $2. Although you could see very strong resistance at $3 above. But I think that these are companies that used to trade as high as $9 to $10. And I'm actually interested to buy this dip at about $2 all the way to $1 for Chinese fintech because Peak Fintech looks to be a Chinese name. Jiayan also, take a look at this. Jiayan is also a commercial lending arm. It went actually from as low as from high 6 to as low as $4 during these drops. Rallied last night about 460. I see it going to back to about 550. However, yeah, you do see a trading range on these names. JFIN, JFU, even Chitian. Yeah, Chitian right now, this is actually at support area of about $2.27. Rallied last night to $2.36. So very strong movements. You could see that they went from $1 to $4. I usually like to pick it up on that retracement. So we got the retracement move. These are, on my views, potential buys. Actually, I have a lot of buying areas. I'd like to get a few names in the Chinese space. Example, in Chinese space, I think you can recall that here in Awesome10X, we made a free class on Dada Nexus. So Dada Nexus and Delivery Hero and Meituan Dianping are all the same. You could see that Delivery Hero is now trading at 106. These are actually your last mile couriers. Delivery Hero here can actually rally, in my view, to as high as maybe you could sell it here about 120. So although it's just a 10% rally, I think long-term, if you're a long-term player, these will actually go up. Maybe I'm even early at 120. Maybe it can go 130. So if you're looking to buy the 108, that is a $20 rise in Delivery Hero. That I think that you can actually get a good 20% in the next 3 to 6 months. Actually, it's not even 3 to 6 months. I think it's just going to happen within a month. So that Delivery Hero looks to be okay. These are Chinese, these are food delivery startups. Actually, they're not even startups, right? They're the number one. So 3690 is Meituan Tianping. Everybody already knows them. However, I find it expensive. So I'll wait on Meituan to fall further, hit about 270 to 80. I don't think I'll get done, just to be very clear. But I'll rather wait. Actually, for 1211, I find the EVs a little bit expensive. So I think that EV-wise, some people got in at 200, rally to 216. But I think rallies to about 260 would get a selling front. So it's going to be either a lower high. So it's going to be a range trade here. Or if it goes down, there will be a lot of buyers. So I don't see it crumbling down. Like EVs as a sector are long-term trends. But especially for the big names like BYD or your Tesla or your NIO. But I do think that there is some consolidation action. So like for Geely Auto, I'd say that the buyers here at 25 are there, but any rallies to 30 would be sold down. Lots of a lot of trading right now. How about Overstock and Best Buy? Actually, for Best Buy, we gave a buy. Wait, are you talking about Best Buy or Bed Bath and Beyond? So let me discuss both. Bed Bath and Beyond, we actually felt was a transformational company. So those arrows actually depict us actually recommending buys. So we actually made a reco buy as early as November at about 17-18 here for Bed Bath & Beyond. That was a gap up. Quick note, after earnings, Bed Bath & Beyond truly transformed their business with the Mark Tritter, the CEO of Bed Bath & Beyond, from Target. So very strong CEO management. It got rallied like all the meme stocks were. So at about $50, we felt that was a sell, 50 and 40 and 30. However, here about $30, I think that it's still upper end, higher low. It's moving like the GMEs, but I think that you have more selling pressure at $30. So at 28, you've got really limited upside. So I'm a no on Bed Bath & Beyond. The buy was here at about $18 all the way, even here at $13. The breakout here of the downtrend line. There's a question, OSTK. Overstock is going to be similar to all the crypto plays. So Overstock, we gave a buy even as early as easily here at about $48. Although it never reached 120, you've got a lower high here at 110. So any rallies from 73 back to about 90 would still be sold down. So I think that there will be a selling front here. It's not as strong as your other blockchain entities like HUT and BitF. You'll notice as well that some companies like example MSTR, MicroStrategy, you've got more selling off here. So after a 10x move, 100 to 13, even here about $800, people will likely sell it off. So I think in the crypto space or the blockchain space or anything related to it, you got really a lot of selling fronts. Like Riot is very expensive in my view. So I'd say that this $54 all the way to $65 is actually more of a selling opportunity. What are my thoughts on buying? Actually, my thoughts on buying are as simple as predictive AI. This one looks to be okay. 130, I think you can rally this back to about 190. Very strong movements. Predictive oncology. So I like a lot of healthcare related names. Take note that last night your beam actually rallied. So notice that you've got this upper end move, your upper channel, $90, $95. Actually, guys, there's a lot of buying and selling action in the market. Just be aware of, oh, he's asking Best Buy, not Bed Bath & Beyond. Sorry, yeah. So Best Buy is just like all the targets of the world. I don't see much action. I don't see it as a 10x name. It's an electronics firm. So it's okay. So when I say that it's okay, it's just Best Buy is just in the same category for your Walmarts and your Targets. So I don't see much. Actually, I prefer getting Target. So actually, we made a buy call on Target. You'll notice 130 is now 186. So after earnings call, yeah, during about August to September. Best Buy is just fine with it's not a recommendation in Awesome10X. Other stocks like UAL and L Brands. L Brands is just a transformation play. L Brands is getting hit. L Brands owns Victoria's Secret. It's not an awesome name. I would prefer other names than L Brands. Yeah, so I don't know. Do you like lingerie? I think that is not a great company. Another stock like United Airlines, also just a subpar name. Although it has rallied, we did talk about United Airlines, Delta Airlines. It's just a reopening theme. I think that these levels at about 53 can be actually sold down already. Profit taking on these levels. Okay, thank you very much, guys, and do hope that you continue to subscribe, like, and share in the channel. And there's really a lot of companies that are worthwhile. But also, there's a sector that I fear is gonna get clobbered in the next 3 months, something in the realm of about 30 to 40%. Be careful on extended names. Some extended names are actually in the solar group. So I still think that some solar companies are actually gonna be bleeding even if they rallied. So actually the rallies last night might actually be more of a chance to sell rather than a chance to buy, even if we like them secular wise. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.